Hi, I'm Brandon Starks, Executive Director of the Brumos Collection. We'd like to welcome you to today's installment of Inside the 59, where we try to give some insight into the people, the history, and the cars that make up our collection. One of the things we're most proud of is that every car in the collection can and does run. So we thought it might be interesting to have everyone see what the process looks like to take a car off the museum floor and see it get some exercise.
Every car in this facility runs. By keeping the cars exercised, you're kind of on top of them because things happen when they sit. What we'll do is we'll get a car when we look it over and we make a list of everything it needs. Because we have to drain the fuel out, put batteries in them, heat the oil up, you have to heat the gearbox just before you can start the car. Gasoline engines, which are about 50% of our cars, it's a bit easier. The fuel is pretty much drained out of the tank, but it stays in the lines and in the injectors. Because of racing engines, and especially these horizontally opposed air-cooled motors, the oil will settle in the crankcase and actually go past the valve guides and end up in the combustion chamber. So when you start the car, there's a lot of smoke and oil. There's a difference in getting a gasoline car ready or an alcohol race car. Alcohol car is a lot more work because you have to what we call pickle the car. You have to drain every bit of the fuel out, then you have to take the fuel filter out and either change it or saturate it with some solution. But we have to blow the alcohol all the way through the system, all the way through the injectors and into the combustion chambers. And the cars that are carbureted and they run on alcohol, actually the tops of the carburetors will be taken apart, the float bowls all washed out and the proper fluid put in them. One car in particular is the Miskalski car. This car doesn't have an electric fuel pump. It's basically a gravity feed fuel pump in the back of these. So you fill up the tank full of fuel and you've got something that's essentially a bicycle pump that you pump pressure into the tank, and that air pressure forces the fuel up to the front of the car till it gets to a mechanical pump which disperses the fuel into the injectors. So with the Miskalski car, what we do, because it's a car that you use an aircraft starter to start from the front of the car, we usually remove the spark plugs, lubricate the cylinders, and spin it over until you get some oil pressure. We try to spin it with the fuel turned on until we see fuel coming out the little barrels. Because these things constantly squirt fuel. It's spraying all the cylinders all the time. So now you're pretty much ready. You put the plugs back in, you got fuel coming out the barrels, you've got oil pressure, so you start it up.